KenGuru Consultants.
Thank you.
KenGuru Consultants is a team of professionals from HR and training domain. The team consists of professionals with a key member having 40 years of experience in training and other with around 20 years of experience in HR and training in various domain industries. Our topic of today is work from home, productive or not. To take maximum benefit of this session, I request you all to keep yourself on mute and camera off. All questions will be taken up towards end of the session, not during the session. The chat box is open. You can type the question and we'll take it in end of the webinar. Now I invite my co-host Dhaval to take the session further.
Thank you, Paru. As you are aware of the situation which is due to COVID-19 pandemic and the consequent lockdown, many organizations have asked their employees to work from home. Earlier, some of the employees had the privilege of working from home, and the situation now is that most organizations want most of the employees to work from home most of the time. Now, working from home has its own set of challenges. To uncover and discuss on the challenges around work from home, we have invited a few senior professionals from the industry to help us understand more on this. I would like to now invite Mr. Dinesh Kalia to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Dhawan. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Subhash Jagota. First of all, I welcome all the participants and very good morning to all of you. Mr. Subhash Jagota is a legendary personality in HR domain. He worked as director in Punj Lloyd, Escorts, Balharpur Industries with Birla Groups, Dabur. He is closely associated with many educational institutes like MIT as an advisor. He is an author of famous 3 books. His book, Winning Strategy for Corporate Success, is very famous in the corporate. As a trainer, he has conducted hundreds of programs in various organizations, mainly on organizational dynamics and retention strategies, team buildings. He is a key person with the Faridabad Management Association, and his key word is win the heart of your people. I invite Mr. Subhash Jagota to open this house. Please welcome him with a great applause. Invite Dhaval to invite next speaker, please.
Right. Before we move on, I would like to invite Mr. Dharmendra Singh Negi to introduce our other panelists. Negi, sir.
Yeah. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. I know it's Sunday, but we thank you all for joining today's webinar. I would like to introduce first Mr. P.V. Krishna Rao, who is popularly known as Krishna or Krish. He's a HR professional with 3 decades of experience with diverse industry segments such as pharma, energy, engineering, financial services, and education. He has served global Fortune 100 companies like AstraZeneca, Chevron, Mylan, and in Indian companies, he has worked with companies like Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, Ashok Leyland, Garvey Consultant, and I think his last assignment as in the corporate was with Indian School of Business. So he was CHRO and leading HR of multiple countries. Krishna's core strengths are helping organizations make their human resources their strategic advantage. He's passionate about people processes. He's a coach, mentor, and helps individuals in their life and organization journey. He's a graduate in Indian philosophy, and then he is also a master's in social work from Loyola College and master's in human resource from Madras University. He holds several national and international certificates in behavioral science and human relations. He has traveled extensively because he was taking care of the journalist HR. Like he has traveled extensively in Asia Pacific, Middle East, um, and US, and he's presently based out of Hyderabad. So I know Mr. Krishna for last around 20 years. So welcome, sir.
Thank you, Negi.
Our second panelist is Mr. KB Ganpati ji. I know Mr. Ganpati ji for last 3-4 years. He's from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. He has a wide experience in the field of human resource management for nearly 2 decades, and currently a clinical psychologist running an NGO for cancer patients of Tata Memorial Hospital, and he's based out of Mumbai. Welcome, sir. And our third panelist, Devendra Singh, is a dear friend. He's like my family member. We know each other since I think 6th standard because we studied together, and he's having around 26 years of work experience with B2B with focus on business strategy and managing P&L. Currently, he's working with Kimberly Clark. This is a US MNC as a cluster business head for South Asia, and he completed his MSc and followed by MBA from Pune University. He's based out of Gurgaon, and if I correctly remember, he has more than 15 years of work experience from working from home. So today we expect him to share his experiences, which will benefit all of us. And so welcome, Devendra. And
Thank you so much.
Dhaval. Yeah.
As we move forward and with our team of empaneled senior professionals, I would want to pose our first question to Mr. Krishna Rao. So, Krishna sir, we would like to know from you if work from home is really productive.
Thank you, Dhaval, and thank you, Negi. And see, the question of being productive or non-productive doesn't arise today because it's a compulsion. I mean, you have no choice but to just take it. But what is important is how do you make it productive is somewhere where my focus would be. I'll share my experience. My work from home started way back in 2007. I used to report to 2 bosses. So one of my boss was in Singapore and he would come to office at 6 a.m. India time. And my other boss was in California, San Francisco, and he would come India time at 8:30 p.m. And I was that time working for Chevron, and basically, we had to be in touch with both of them. I had to be in touch with both of them. And way back in 2006 itself, Chevron had a very nice policy of offering you to set up an office in home. In fact, I remember they used to give us a grant or rather, it was a kind of a loan which was given towards setting up an office for, like, you set up your partition, furniture, air conditions, and all those things, including a good broadband connection, so that you could effectively work from home. So one of the lessons learned, and it was a difficult lesson learned because in 2006 and 7, I was also pretty young at that time, at least from what I am today, 14 years back. And one was to get a discipline in place. It's very difficult sometimes because we have so many distractions at home. So after a while, I developed a timetable, and I said every morning, every day from 6 a.m. to maybe 11 a.m. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. will be my email time. I would send all the emails, look at all the approvals and all. Then from 11 to maybe 12, 12:30, we would talk to each other. Maybe I would talk to my Singapore counterparts in the around after 11 India time, 11 a.m. That's their lunch hour, after their lunch hour. And again in the evening would begin the same, and I would talk to my team in the US somewhere around say 10:30, 11 in the night. So basically, one is you have to put into a process in place, and to make it productive. I mean, I'm not saying whether it's going to be productive or not productive. That's a secondary question. But to make it productive, I think you will have to get some kind of a process in place. And in Chevron, we had a project-based processes in place. I mean, project-based performance management in place. So time to respond an email. And second thing was, those days we used to use a lot of Excel sheet in the HR, where everything was entered in Excel sheets and it was monitored on a daily basis. What is the status happening? Okay. The third was again a login and logout time was also captured that time. So basically, some of these things which I realized today, it's becoming a necessity. So one, to make it productive, you have to have a sense of discipline. Take family into confidence. Like for example, I mean, staying at home means I have 3 dogs at home, plus I have a mentally challenged son. So all those are going to come in middle my work. That's secondary. Thirdly, I think it's also important for us to ensure that as a management, from an organization point of view, respect privacy of people at home. In fact, if you have allowed people to work from home, respect the privacy. And in Indian School of Business, we had this policy way back in 2012. And even if my Dean Ajit Rangnekar would call me at Wednesday at even at 11 o'clock in the morning, he would again, first thing he will say, Krishna, where are you? I mean, basically, if I say I'm at home, then his second statement would be, call me when free. Okay, I mean, that was the culture in ISB we developed, because of course in educational institution and in oil company where I was working, work from home is fairly possible for functions like HR, finance and many other functions. But also what it also did for us in a place like Mumbai, when we were setting up office in Mumbai for Chevron, we had a close to around 150 people in Mumbai to work, but we had an office space for less than 40 people. Okay, it was almost 1/3 we had a office space. Again, in terms of saving, it was significant saving. It was sales office, so a whole lot of sales people had to be there in this thing. In ISB, similarly, we would offer a 25 to 30% less compensation for people to work from home. Even though it was less money, there were a lot of people who were still happy and very engaged because it gave them time. I remember there were cases like an employee, women employee, she had a cancer patient at home, and this came as a big blessing. And I saw all the expectant mothers after their delivery, after the maternity leave is over, they would choose to work from home because it really helped them in putting together their processes. I mean, their family compulsions. So, couple of things is that yes, I think from a management side, if you're letting them build an environment of trust, have faith in the employee, and as an employee also, I think he or she should be able to really demonstrate his delivery standards. And again, a culture of commitment should be there, both sides, both from an employee as well as from the organization, where I think there has to be a feeling that yes, we respect each other and we will deliver it. So I think these are the few things which I think makes work from home effective and deliver results. I'm done. Thank you. You can go to the next one.
Thank you, Rao sir, and thanks for sharing your very inspiring experience. Till now, you have a very long journey working from home, and we are. Jagota sir is here, so I would like to request Mr. Jagota ji so tell his views on the topic work from home, productive or not.
We have a advertising company where there are about 20 people working. So our experience on work from home has been excellent. We had an office where we were paying a rent of about 80,000. All the employees were home, and our designers, our copywriters, our media planners We have 7 senior people in the sales. All of them are operating from their respective homes. We have 4 people of the delivery boy type. We have, at the moment, we have no work for delivery, so we have tied up with one of the delivery company. And we have spoken to our landlord, and we said that we need only very small office. So he has agreed to, 50% of the office. So the rent is also 50%. So what I'm trying to say, work from home is easy, is not difficult, and it is possible, and it is also economical. Now, from the employee's point of view, you see, employees have many advantages. Employees have flexi timings. He has enough time to prepare himself, because earlier he used to spend a lot of time in getting ready, almost 1 hour traveling time, then parking time. All those confusions are not there, so employee can save a lot of time. Salary deduction, you see, if many companies, if the employee is late by half an hour, his salary will be deducted. So that problem is also over to the employees. Driver salary, petrol, saving on timings, traveling, all these are advantages to the employees, and there is going to be less pollution issues. Another good thing is that it is very, very good for the female employees. Now, female employees can handle their homes and they can handle the office at the same time. So it is very good. And we have also noticed that the attrition rate has gone down, because employees are quite comfortable for operating from their homes, and therefore attrition rate has gone down. However, I want to make it very clear that all these things are for office staff and senior people. It is not meant for the workers. As far as workers are concerned, by and large, they have to go to the factory. But my advice to most of the employer is they must invest money on automation. They should have as many as possible automatic machine where they can reduce the labor, and labor cost is going to be very high, and it will be very difficult to get the labor in times to come. So as far as employers are concerned, they should invest money on the automation. Employees have got a very important message. They must learn to give more to the employer and expect less from the employer. Because if the company does not survive, employees, how will he get his salary? So employee will have to be more committed towards his job. He has to be more committed to the employer. And if that happens, then employee will be happy and the employer will be also very happy. So commitments are very important, and target completion, this is also very important. Employees will have to ensure that during the duty hours, they should not waste money on shopping, going to markets, going to malls, going to picture hall, or doing any other household work. No. During office hours, they should be genuinely interested in the growth of the company. They should think of giving some creative ideas, some innovative ideas, so that company can do some saving and increase the profit of the company. However, it is also very important that if the employee is working from home, he should give all MIS, Management Information System. Everything has to be communicated to the employer on time. Then the employer will be very happy. If the feedback is not there, then I think employer will be uncomfortable. And finally, if you are operating from home, there should be no disturbances. You see, many times the lady is coming, children are coming, or some disturbances from the visitors. So I think during the office time, we should ensure that there is no disturbances. I think if these things take place, hopefully work from home will work very well, and it will go very well. On a lighter side, I found that an employee has a very pretty boss. She was a lady and she used to phone the boss 10 times a day. And the lady was watching the mobile, and she was very uncomfortable. Who is this young lady who is coming again and again? So such problems may come, but anyway, that's on a lighter side. So I feel that it is working well, and hopefully in times to come, at least up to December, we all should be mentally prepared. And if the time permits, after that, I would like to spend how employer will be gaining from work from home. So with this, thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Jagota sir. And some really beautiful points that you highlighted for us, wherein definitely there is an advantage where employees will have flexible time and they will get the benefit of saving money, saving the effort of getting ready and commuting. Nevertheless, they have to give it back to the organization by being more committed to the organization, by giving more and expecting a little less. And with the work-life balance in place, attrition definitely will be on a low. Mr. Rao also mentioned the 3 points wherein there have to be processes which have to be set, technology which has to be brought in, the processes which have to be set up, family which has to be kept in confidence. So we, I guess, have a good idea of where to start when it comes to work from home. I would now like to hand over to my co-host Parul to take it further.
Thank you, Dhaval. Thank you, Jagota sir, for highlighting the issues of work from home. Now, as Mr. Rao shared his experience, whereas productivity can be increased when working from home, it poses its own challenges for both employees and for employers. I would like to ask Mr. Devendra Singh, what are the pros and cons for employees and for employers?
All right. Thank you, Parul. And my job actually has been made easy by Mr. Jakuta and Mr. Rao because they have already said something that will echo my sentiments. But still, I'll make certain pertinent points which I feel is important for this discussion. Uh, from the pros perspective, from employee perspective, as somebody said, the previous speaker has said that there's a lot of transit time actually which is involved today for you to get ready to go to office, and it's a whole process. And I know some people who possibly in Mumbai and even in Delhi NCR almost take about 2 hours for traveling. That's 4 hours actually, or 2 hours one way. So 4 hours that you actually waste, if I have to put it this way. Now, though that is the kind of time that is available with you actually, which you can utilize if you're working from home. So that is definitely a big win. Uh, Second, obviously, uh, somebody said, I think Mr. Jakoda said, which is a very valid point, which was there right up in my list, is today's with the kind of employment that we have, wherein ladies are becoming more, the percentage is gradually increasing in the workforce. And for them, there are other responsibilities as well. Unfortunately, with the kind of society that we come from, ladies are still expected to do certain jobs at home. And keeping that in mind, it's a boon for them actually if they're working from home, because then they have a lot of time with them actually to be utilized. There can be various reasons for it, whether you have a child at home or aging parents, but then she can take care. That goes for a man as well. I mean, please don't get me wrong. Just in case, if the statement looks anti-feminist or something like that, it's just not the case. Parul and I can tell you that. So I come from there. It's a very important point to make. Um, there is definitely greater flexibility when you're working from home, in the sense that you can draw your job list and you can figure out the work time and all that, because every time you're working from office, you're always looking at the watch, because maybe you have that local to catch, and you miss one local, and then maybe you'll be late by half an hour, 45 minutes. It can be that bad. So those are the things that you fight against. That can be helpful also. I'll come to that later. But the point is that you at least have time on your side and you can manage it well. So these are few of the pros that I see definitely, which are advantageous. But at the same time, it is pertinent, it is imperative, I'll put it this way, that one need to get disciplined when you're working from home. You know, uh, the temptation to be indisciplined actually is huge if you're working from home, because suddenly you feel that you don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You can sleep till 6:30 or so. You know, so there are a lot of stuff that you need to do early morning and all that. So that indiscipline when it seeps in, if you're doing work from home in early part of a career, it will take some time for you to actually get disciplined, which is very, very important. you know so in my career, out of the 26 years, 15 years I've been working from home, and absolutely working from home. When I say, I mean, there's no office to go to. And it's very, very important you draw your list and you follow that to the T. So that's an important point. Um, Also, the other challenges that I see from a more HR perspective, thankfully we have so many HR professionals on the call. When you're working from home, there's certain monotony that seeps in. The fact is that when you're in an office, there's so many people that you can engage with, you can talk to, and so many ideas can be discussed and shared and all of that. Suddenly, in the lockdown itself, what we are seeing is that you have been locked down to your house, which can be a 2 bedroom, a single bedroom, or a 3 bedroom flat, and we are not liking it. Imagine a situation wherein most of the people don't have that luxury of a 3 bedroom or 2 bedroom. Maybe they have 1 bedroom, or maybe they have only one room to themselves, and they are working from home from there. There's an entire family which is there. You have to be cognizant of the fact that there is a time, everybody has their own time and all that. You have to keep that in mind. But the fact is that you yourself will be then limited to possibly a room, and cannot even go out. So if lockdown is giving that much to you, imagine if you're locked down to a room, what can that do to you? So that definitely there's a lot of motivation or self motivation which is needed. you know but you'll be surprised, as has been said by my previous speakers also, that working from home actually has shown globally to give a better productivity from people. But in our context, it's a paradigm shift. Absolutely, we need to be cognizant of that and take care of that. So that's exactly from employer perspective. Coming to employer, it's a bigger challenge actually. Is a bigger problem to kind of manage. uh, so what is happening is, when we started, so today Indian scenario, the market is completely been dominated by ITs, as is our economy, so are banking and financial institutions. Now what is happening there is, as we are growing, the cost of the building, or cost of kind of operating has actually going up day by day. you know the spaces are getting more and more expensive. So initially when we started, the Indian scenario, there were 150 square feet per person that we started with. Today it has come down to 60 square feet. you know and suddenly we have this new norms, or new normal as we say, which is coming in, seeping in because of the COVID-19 situation, which is that there has to be a 6 feet distance. Now both cannot go hand in hand. Problem is that within the same space we want to work today, instead of 100% employees, you may work with 25 to 30% employee within the same space if you have to follow these norms, which are next to impossible. One, there's no guarantee that your revenues are going to go up, so your fixed costs are going to be the same. From a P&L perspective, it's going to be a big hit, because possibly we'll be needing more money to kind of ensuring the same people sit out of the office, right? And even if 10% of the total cost is your kind of rental cost, and even if it goes down by 25%, imagine your bottom line takes a 2.5% hit, which is a huge hit, and nobody's in today's world is ready for it. Hence a lot of companies today, you might have seen, are resorting to kind of reducing the salaries of people, because that is other fixed expense that you have, the salaries. Even if it's 5 or 7%, depending on the organization that you work for, if you reduce by 25 or 26%, you have 1.5% of the bottom line, things like that. So people are now finding out ways how they can manage this. Now that's one aspect from employer perspective. But it is from a HR perspective, I don't know, those are my opinions. I can see there are HR gurus who are all there in this call, and they will know it more. I think it's an absolutely HR nightmare. uh, why I say that is, every company has a culture. Now the culture is when people come together and they work. If everybody is working from home, to get everyone together will be humongous job. It's practically a nightmare, as I'm saying. The engagement of employees is very, very important. And how do you engage employee who are working from home, whom you can't even see, or who are only virtually present? The third thing which I see even a bigger problem is how do you manage your talents? And now today your talent possibly are the most important people for you. and maybe they may or may not like the work from home thing. Not everybody is, as I said earlier, disciplined or may understand the whole nuances. It may take people some time. So to engage all of them to ensure that the strength of employees are same, and the fact that you have a culture going, that will be one of the bigger challenge for the companies. So these are some of the things that I feel, but I definitely feel, from my perspective, since I have been there in system for quite some time, I think a kind of a rotation policy can definitely help. When you can start with the 25% people working from home, and possibly you rotate them. Don't restrict them to 100% work from home. Make them work from home for about a week or so, and then let them. You know, this also is a huge cost for organization. If I have missed that point, which is from working from home, you need a kind of a setup. I think this point was raised earlier by my earlier speaker, wherein you need a certain broadband also. Today people who are working ITs, you cannot work with the broadband that you get at home. So it's going to be a huge challenge. Then you need a table and a chair, or a good chair with ergonomics actually to sit on, which normally you don't have at home. So those are the investment. Are companies going to do that investment for their employees, or do they expect their employees to do that? So that's the question that also need to be answered. But from my sake, my perspective, if I have to put a point, is that 25% people should work from home, and then there should be rotation before people get used to it, and this can be utilized even more meaningfully. So these are some of the points that I'll make. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. So that actually, highlights some of the ways in which companies can execute the work from home. And you have also highlighted some very interesting bits as an advantage for the organization where, they can have lesser cost saving, just like Mr. Jagota also highlighted that they've cut down on the rent. So there is going to be a substantial saving in terms of the rent for the organization. Employees will have better work-life balance. But yes, the intrusion that happens for an employee when he's working from home will have to be acknowledged at an organizational level. Like Mr. Rao was also mentioning, that his boss would call him up and ask if it is the right time, and when Mr. Rao can call back when he's free. So that acknowledgement of the employee working from home is primary when work from home gets executed at an organizational level, and it has to be built up as a culture. So thank you, Mr. Singh, for some amazing insights on this. And what you also, probably touched upon was the engagement of employees that would happen when they come to office. So in an office premises, people meet, people talk, you connect with your boss, you get some ideas. But in work from home, this will be missing. So my question to our next panelist, Mr. Ganpati, is that how do we engage these remote employees or employees who are working from home? What are your recommendations around that? And probably on the lines of, probably going a little deeper into what are the challenges that employees face when they're working from home?
All right. First and foremost, thank you so much for the three speakers before me. Two of them, almost all the three of them spoke about their personal experiences. What I am bringing in front of you is a small research that I conducted. Sooner I got this information that I need to be a part of this webinar. So what I bring to you is information backed by data. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. But although all the three speakers earlier have spoken about their personal experiences, as a psychologist, I want to bring about the abruptness and the suddenness with which the organization have to rise up to this challenge. And that's absolutely a huge challenge that we are going to have to face. So to successfully adapt and thrive in this new normal, I don't know how normal it's going to be. One cannot react to COVID-19 related workplace issues as they occur. In fact, I would think one needs to monitor key patterns and trends to predict challenges and direct our efforts to real-time tracking of employee experiences throughout the uncertain time, and how as an organization we can support them in internalizing the new normal. Well, as all of you know, organization is a social entity, a kind of bonding which is almost therapeutic to most of us to escape oppressive, challenging home environment. Office is where people actually live. And therefore, it is extremely important to understand one thing, that my first point that I'm talking about are people who are living alone in this time. Can you imagine working from home, managing household chores with limited infrastructure, with limited resources, and having to rise up to this sudden call of so many restrictions that has come by the way of COVID-19, struggling with loneliness, struggling with social isolation during these challenging times? Close relationships, feeling of belongingness, connection, and support are supposed to be, I mean, evidently, and research has really proved that how this is very, very good for overall health. And the biggest worry is this isolation can be a breeding ground for a lot of undesirable habits. Case in point is excessive smoking or getting into any abusive habit that one hears a lot. Therefore, focusing on our overall well-being is a great place to start with. Higher the levels of social integration, higher is the opportunity for health. Having said that, within this background, some of the challenges my earlier three speakers have already captured. But what I'm bringing is some of the most common thing: distraction. It can be a doorbell ringing to watching your fair episodes, watching your own favorite cricket matches, etc. In other words, what I'm trying to say is keeping consistent work hours is going to be a little challenging. And we are also talking about the division in the population. While I understand that the younger millennial population is more tech savvy and they are more used to all these things, is the middle-aged, not so young adults, and the middle-age and crossover is going to find it a little more difficult. What do we do with them? Then there are challenges in the form of dietary concerns. You know, daily habits and routines can be very critical to maintaining health, structure, and balance both at work and at personal life. So this facelessness is going to add to the impersonal ethos that we're talking about. Then the next challenge is going to be unclear performance direction, performance matrices, lack of support of the management to help employees to handle the current workload. Then, of course, the next challenge would be the importance or the lack of interpersonal process in the life that we have been so used to, and therefore its impact on attitudes, beliefs, goals, and motivation. Then we're talking about challenges in the form of disruption of everyday life. Uh, uh, we did speak about being this work from home as a great advantage to female employees. So two things that I want to make it very clear is, I think we need to go beyond these gender-based skills. Gone are the days only the females have to manage the chores of the house. Today, men equally have to share the responsibility. So this gender-based competency and skill matrix has to be relooked at, which is again a challenge. And as I was talking about disruption of everyday life, you have people with elders' health problem, education of children, which are deeply impacting for a lower income group. Early childhood education on linguistic, emotional, and cognitive abilities, self-regulation, and even betterment of entire families is now a question mark. I don't know how many of you know, today more than 50% of the Bombay is going through redevelopment, and we all know about the issues connected to migrant laborers. So all these redevelopment projects are stuck. So I don't know when I'll be going back to my house where I thought I had better facilities to work from home. But in this new makeshift home that has been given to me, I don't have a proper house. My bandwidth is very poor. My internet connections, internet outage is not very great. I'm not talking when so many of them had to say that. And affordability of equipment is also a question mark. So you have a physical hiccup, you have a technological hiccup, you have a condition hiccup, and the challenges of both employees and employers about managing crisis and contingency planning. Even that is going to be a great thing to contend with. Having said all these things, what would I want the organization to do? Is there a way an organization can quickly identify what can add most value to business? And how can we manage to execute it over mundane tasks? Okay, that's one of that we have got. How can we help employees to adapt to collaborative tools like Slack, Trello, video conferencing? As I was preparing for this lecture, I saw two messages. One is IIT Hyderabad has recently done a survey day before yesterday, and they found that 57% of the students, you can imagine IIT, okay? 57% of the students are saying that they are not enjoying video conferences, they are not enjoying, a virtual classroom. Any day they will want physical classroom. Of course, that is change will come a little, later. But people who are supposed to be IT savvy and who have got all the other facilities have these feelings. And productivity monitoring is going to be yet another challenge. Work hours maintenance can be another challenge. Reduced free face time causing a bottleneck in project execution can be another problem. Increased risk of data integration. Today we are talking about data confidentiality. So many things happening on the computer. So there is an increased risk of data integrity. Increased dependency on co-workers availability given the time zones, etc. And higher workload and lower work-life balance. Contrary to what people thought, working from home would essentially mean work-life balance. No, the people, whether it's a female or it's a person who's living alone or it's a family, they are grappling with so much of problem, COVID-19 adding on to it. And therefore, how do they give time for the organizational priorities, and vis-a-vis how do they schedule their priorities is something that they have to work. So all these things are appearing to be challenged today. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I want to be only bringing home the point that we cannot be overlooking these challenges in the face of what we have heard so far in terms of how economically it is advantages. We can take away the drudgery of travel. Yes, it is a place like Bombay where my previous speaker spoke about 2 hours travel time and we get stuck to it, and therefore there is a possibility of productivity increase. I'm not overlooking that. It is a very important point. But having said that, these kind of challenges is very, very, very important. Now, Dhaval, do I have time to go for engagement? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, coming to the engagement, again, I don't think one has to really look at one size fits all. What has been working towards engagement in a conventional organization, that same engagement aspects when we're talking about working from home is going to be a different ballgame altogether. Now, engagement definitely strengthens the bond between employer and employee, but we don't know how much is going to be for employer and the remote workers. But having engagement measures without a measure of tracking their effectiveness is a big challenge, especially those that involves money. Everything eventually comes to communication and what concern these remote workers have. That's something that we have to address. But having spoken about engagement, as I told you, no one size fits all. Engagement models depend on the nature of industry, nature of business, and criticality of the role. Probably one could look at how we can assign collateral tasks, weekly opportunity for connection between team members, virtual team activities which are mood elevating, quizzes, online multiple games, acknowledging the new skill that individual has learned, virtual coffee break, happy hour, Slack hold informal breaks. These are something that I've read, that Starbucks has done, GitLab has done. But as I told you, the conditioning that we have got and the culture that we come from, I know how this is going to work for, because all this thing costs money. Robust communications and virtual meeting is very important. How much does the organization focus on overall employee wellness? Mental health support, how they are planning to expand this mental health support is very important. But one more advantage is now that we are moving totally from a conventional stream of working to work from home, it is probably also an opportunity to switch to reward and recognition platform technologically. So these are some of the points that I thought I must bring. The most important point being, we must take into consideration the suddenness, the abruptness with which we all have been taken, and we have been tossed out of their comfort zone. And therefore, any intervention that we're talking about cannot be a knee-jerk reaction. If this has to be very successful, it has to be trial and error. It has to be done on pilot, and it has to be probably done on taking into account the employee experiences, etc. That's all for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ganpati, for this wonderful thing. And you absolutely highlighted some of the very good points regarding mental health and overall wellness. Because when we talk about employers and the work from home things, we generally don't see what employee is going through, the psychological point of view. And
Yeah.
one more thing which you have highlighted is we cannot measure everyone or judge
Yeah.
everyone on a same scale, which is
Right.
very, very good and very correct. I think we all have to understand as an employer perspective, especially. So while engagement is a challenge in the work from home, the bigger challenge is absence of social interaction. As it actually happens in office premises. Hence, my next question is to Negi sir. How can we bridge the socializing gap in work from home scenario?
Okay, okay. So thanks, Parul, and thanks to all the panelists. They have already taken this, this subject of socializing. They have already covered. But whatever little knowledge I have on this subject, I will say a few points. Like, when we are all learning how to live with the reality of coronavirus, work from home jobs are very much a reality. I know we will be having a lot of challenges while working from home, and it will surely will have some social impact as most of us are new in this environment. We know that work from home does not suit everyone. This has already been touched by Mr. Ganpati and a few other panelists also. It doesn't suit to everyone, as it misses the personal touch and the sense of belongingness, and also it affects the social and emotional needs that need to be fulfilled. But still, we need to find a way to bridge the gap, because and the biggest thing what I would see is the biggest challenge in the whole process will be communication. So when I say communication, I think this is one thing where we need to focus on, and because if we are good in communication, I think we need to communicate on things which we can impact and build relationship. We should communicate on when employer and employee, supervisor and worker or anyone is communicating to bridge the gap. We need to clear all our whatever doubts we have. We need to communicate in such a way that all concerns, whatever we have, need to be shared. We should raise questions. We should take feedback. We should, in fact, we should encourage them to say something. We should share success. We should share results. We should, we should also time and again we should update them, because they are out of workplace. So they should know sitting at home that what is going on. And as one of the panelists has rightly said, it has to really follow certain rules. It cannot be 24 into 7 into 365 days. And because otherwise it is going to have a big impact. And as Mr. Ganpati just said, that there are a lot of bachelors who will be, who has to manage both house and we could see right now in Mumbai is a complete lockdown, and all these bachelors are who are dependent on restaurants, for food and all. They are finding it very, very difficult. So I think those factors also need to be checked, and we need to do while we are having this. But on the other hand, as an employer, I'm also concerned about my output. So I also need to review their performance. The performance can only be reviewed when I continue to communicate with them. Now, place like Mumbai, work from home may not suit everyone because of space constraint. So that is one of the biggest challenge, and that challenge is with other metros as well. So as Devinder also said, then there's a commuting, it takes 2 to 3 hours one way. Yes, it is going to, now they will have more time, they can socialize more. But then the challenge will be how to socialize with the team. That will get impacted, because it just the current scenario. If you see, what I could see, one more challenge is, and it is a challenge as well as a good thing, that a lot of decentralization may take place. Right now, everything is focused on few metro cities, but once they get an option of working from home, no need to stay in Mumbai, pay a high rental or pay a high education cost or commuting cost. They may stay at their hometown working from them. That is, but again, they may get cut off from the office environment, and for that, communication will be very important. He should be aware what is going on in the office, or what is boss expected, or what are, so all these things need to be he should be made aware time and again. Now, as Mr. Rao Saab also said, that we need to provide that infrastructure, that they had a policy of, giving proper allowance to every employee to make their life comfortable by giving them, infrastructure costs towards AC, towards mobile, towards everything. So Wi-Fi cost and everything. So I think these are the things which need to be given, and that for giving all these things, the person will become more comfortable. Because we also need to understand all of them are not okay to work from home. Even a lot of females, what I could see is they may be more than happy to work in office. So because they are socializing, they all that pain what they sometimes with few females when they are not comfortable because they are in-laws, is a joint family, and this is the time when they get socialized with the office people and forget whatever they have. So these 8 hours when they are comfortable, they yeah, they may feel little uncomfortable if you are asking them to uh, work from home. But whereas few ladies will be more comfortable because they have small kids, they are taking care, sitting at home and working also. So yes, these are pros and cons, and we need to balance it when we are asking them to, you know, do on socializing thing also. So these are yes. Then I can see on the there's one more thing which I want to contribute. Like I want to say, if you see, we have observed in the last few months that because of this working from home, the domestic violence has increased in some cases. So that also need to be seen that it is not that working from home is 100% correct. Yes, it has to be balanced, and people are getting disturbed because of the family is getting disturbed. The joint families are getting disturbed because this person wants a whenever he's getting a call from his bosses, from the employer, he is asking everyone to shut, and as few of the families said that place like Mumbai, they are surviving in one room. In one room, there's a family of 5 people. So again, this is going to affect. So I think considering all those facts, um, we need to make sure that at the end of the day, if we are asking them to work from home, we have to give them comfort so that they can give their 100% output. So this is what I have to say in this point. I don't want to take much time. I think most of the points are already covered by the other panelists. Thanks.
Can I just say one thing, Negi?
Yeah.
All right, I missed
Yes,
out
sir.
saying, having said what I have to, this can also be an opportunity to create, for organizations to use some cloud-based HR tools. And most importantly, this is a brilliant opportunity for those coaches, HR coaches, to really, handhold the organization or the function heads to work towards great corporate, social, and innovative strategies that can impact both business and also coach employees to design a brand that can really help the community at the time of this crisis. And another important thing is on this virtual office, recognition becomes instant. You do something and the boss immediately gives you recognition. That can also be far more motivating. But the other side is part of recognition is also being, in a conventional organization, we call people in a cabinet in front of 10 people, we tell them. But since we don't have that, this HR tools can really help you to handle such issues. That's what I want to make it. Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ganpati sir. And I guess we are kind of getting an idea as to what really work from home means for organizations and what it means for employees, considering the fact that it has happened abruptly and we were caught unawares of going into a work from home scenario. Very few people were really ready. Very few people were really in for accepting the work from home. But people are now trying to understand that yes, there are some inherent challenges, but there are some inherent advantages as well for working from home. Like Negi sir mentioned, we could move to smaller cities, offices can be decentralized. So it is going to be a new work culture that has to build up. Uh, we have a few questions in the chat box, which we will be taking up towards the later part of the session. I would like to put the first question to Mr. Devendra Singh regarding this. We got a question wherein would it be pertinent to mention that an organization should log processes and a constructive work schedule for employees working from home in order to maximize output and instill a sense of commitment. So, is it required to draw processes, Mr. Singh?
Sorry, facing some challenges. Yeah, I think it's a question which pops up absolutely rightfully if you're in such a session and when you think of work from home. Um, but my more answer will be depends a lot on the employee. Why organization can do certain things to ensure that people work in a certain way, but when you're working from home, it's all about self-discipline. So it's very important that we instill certain factors and we ensure that when we are working from home and there's a certain job that needs to be finished, it needs to be done in a certain hours which we have. So the self-discipline becomes a major factor here. I'll put it this way: while organization can do certain things which can ensure that the employee can work in a better manner. So that is what I'll say. Self-discipline is the most important key here.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh. Yes, we were also getting some points wherein Mr. Rao also mentioned that it would be good to have a schedule wherein we'd get up at 9 in the morning and from 9 to 11, one would go through the emails and from 11 onwards would start talking to colleagues and understand the status of projects. My next question is for Mr. Rao, wherein is it important that employees work for a stipulated number of hours, as in there is a fixed login logout, or the focus should be on results?
So I guess it has to be a balance of both. The one is, of course, results is what delivers the revenue and the business. When it comes to the fixed hours, I think there has to be an agreement among the team that this is a time we will be all available for a call or for a webinar or discussion or whatever it is. Again, going back to my experience of Chevron days, we used to have a certain time slots where all of us will have to be available both during the day and the night. So that if the boss wants something or there has to be any kind of a quick discussion or a quick call or something, because see, ultimately you cannot stop business, you cannot stop your process. Okay, employee is important in delivering that, and given that, I think you have to have a process in place where you get a balance of it.
Great. Thank you, sir. The very beautiful keyword that you mentioned is there has to be a balance of both the timings, the number of hours, and the results that we are expecting from the employee. To take the session further, I would like my co-host, Parul, to come on.
Yeah. Thank you, Dhaval. Thank you, all the panelists. And we have one more question here. So the question is, like, how can we do the sales? The sales is quite little difficult in these days. So if we talk about like face-to-face sales, how can that be possible in an easy way if we are working from home?
I can pick that up unless it is meant for someone specific.
No, please, please.
So all right. So see, since I manage the business for my organization and I have a 25 salespeople, and these are the things that we have been in fact training them for. There are a couple of ways you can actually reach out to your end customers. I can understand completely that face-to-face meeting has a different impact altogether. Because the meetings are all about the body languages as well, and you are able to read your end customer well. We do all these kind of teachings to our sales professional. But the point is, at the end of the day, these are the time when if you reach out to your end customers, there are various ways by which we can do that. Skype is one of them, and we are all connected right now. There can be a face-to-face meeting if that's possible, but it depends a lot on the customer also whether he wants to engage or not. So what we are saying is we are inviting people for a lot of such webinars, a lot of such Skype meetings, and we pick up very important topics which will be definitely important for them, and we engage them. The engagement of the end customer is very, very important in such period. We should not look for easy sales right now. It is going to be difficult. Everybody is going through a tough time, and everybody is trying to manage and understand how they can steer through this current situation. All right. So it's very, very important that we show that we are with them in the time of needs, and we can come out with certain things which can actually help them. So we have been organizing a lot of webinars wherein we are calling uh, people from the industry, people who are uh, known for in their respective field, to give their thought process like what we are doing currently to the entire end customers, so that's really helpful. So you are staying connected, and you're also doing something which is meaningful for them. For prospecting now, which is becoming important. So one thing that is impacting right now is prospecting, wherein you meet new customers. The new customers is going to be a challenge. So there are a lot of ways by which you can do that. Actually, you can use your LinkedIn, actually, where you can go there. You have a lot of e-com ways by which you can kind of interact with new customers and all of that. So technology becomes a very big relief, actually, and it can actually help you reach out to many people in such times. And we have been reaping such good results, and that's really helping us. So that's my perspective on the whole thing.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Rao, please.
So I spend a lot of time in pharma industry, and today I'm part of several pharma groups. And pharma is one sector where face-to-face meeting with the doctor is absolutely essential to sell a drug. And what has happened is last 2 months, of course, both the doctors were busy and the guys couldn't go. And now they are opening up. So interestingly, now these guys are, most pharma companies, starting with Dr. Reddy's, is trying to engage doctors on a webinars like this one. And the feedback is good in a way that today both the TSM, ASM, or sometimes even the RSM, regional sales manager, area sales manager, are together connecting with doctors. Okay, one. Second thing is, there was a day when making 6 calls or 8 calls in a day was a big thing, especially in a city like Bombay. Just making a 6 call itself is a big thing per day. Bombay, they have been now recording close to around 15 to 18 calls per day. Okay, because most of these calls with the doctors doesn't last more than 2 to 3 minutes, 3 to maximum 3 minutes. Even otherwise, even if they go there, they can't spend more than 3 minutes there. So same time doctor is giving. But today, in terms of touch is high, one. In touch of quality of information is high. How it is going to kind of result in a revenue or result in a what kind of it happens is it's still some time to see. Like it will possibly take a couple of more weeks or a month to see that. But today the feeling is good, and what I understand from these guys, doctors are also happy because they don't have to kind of keep on getting people inside the room.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. Mr. Ganpati, want to light on this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask my co-panelists. I mean, that's quite a welcome change to hear that, especially when Mr. Rao spoke about pharma sales, and where I have also been an integral part of a lot of pharma organization in terms of training. But what about project sales? Do you think technology can really make an impact when it comes to project sales?
Is the question directed to me?
No, anybody can pick up because I have absolutely no clue about this. How does a project sales work? You think technology can make an impact as much as it makes, let's say, between an MR and a doctor's sales pitch?
I don't have any exposure in project sales.
So anybody in the other panel?
Yes, sir. Since
anybody, you can throw this question to any of the other panelists. What about project sales?
So, I would not like to answer given the fact that even I don't have an exposure to project sales per se. But, what we have seen, I can just talk about from experience per se, wherein we are talking to newer customers. If we can engage them, through various different ways. And if what I just heard is like in today's scenario, the most important people and people where actually the sales are actually good is the healthcare industry currently, and they're so busy. And if they are able to take out time and then can actually listen to you, I think it may help. But with my limited knowledge in project sales, I would want someone else to actually pick it up.
Because I just now saw a message
Can
that
I
came
say
in from
something?
Anand Mahindra.
Can I
Who
say
is,
something, please?
sorry?
Can I say something?
Yeah, please, please, please.
You see, in project sale, basically there is a tender. So their face-to-face meeting is not required. Once the tender is on, you have to submit your papers. You have to be technically qualified. Again, one-to-one meeting is not required. And then you have to send your pricing. You have to send. If you have to visit this site, yes, you need to visit this site. That is fine. Rest, most of the things can be done on telephone. So I think in project sale, I was in Punj Lloyd, and we had more than 100 projects all over the world. And we had a estimation team, we had a project team, and nobody was visiting the projects. Everything was done on online, and that was working well. So my answer to this is, for project sale, online discussion or sale is possible. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
After
much.
this, I would like to spend 5 minutes on how it can be beneficial to the employer.
Sure, sir, sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Arulji,
Yes.
I'm having one question with for Mr. Ganpati. Can I ask?
Yeah, please, sir, please.
Mr. Ganpati,
Yeah.
as you have done a lot of research work, do you think that bonding between employer and employee is lagging? If it is so, then what can be done to motivate and how to maintain this bonding? What do you suggest?
Okay. The research definitely says that people are feeling isolated. And as I spoke right at the beginning, unlike the three previous friends who spoke about their experience where they could, make a transition to work from home in a very, educated, constructive manner, we have to take into consideration the suddenness with which we are told to do this. It is abruptness and suddenness which is causing all the problem. In my research, I found out that people sitting at home and working tend to spend at least 50% of the time in anxiety as to when the situation is going to become normal. They still aren't coming to terms with the new normal of life. Under the circumstances, how are they going to be productive is a question mark. Number one. Number two, given this background, there is no off-the-shelf ready-made answer what can be done to motivate them. To start with, lot depends on those individuals and how they want to see this as an opportunity is all I can comment on right now.
I would like to add, the sense of belongingness can be enhanced by once in a week you introduce happy hours, you meet everybody and let's have a glass in our hand.
Yes, yeah.
And then you can introduce lots of games. I can tell you in the
Gamification is a
evening,
yeah.
In the evening, my brother's daughter, she's in UK, and we are 25 extended family members, and we have the Tambola evening every day from 10 to 11. So like this, lots of fun activities can be introduced, and then belongingness will come automatically. And this must be done at least once in a week. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I would like to add a point here, and this was something which many years ago I came across this people who are the army men who are put into the borders and who have long tenures away from the family. So if you go on to Google or you do YouTube's their schedules, all of them after 6 hours of work they have an entertainment session where a lot of singing and dancing happens among the soldiers, okay, and all the soldiers have an access to a communication at a certain given time to their family every day. So this again helps them to connect, bond with the family, so that whatever the 3 continuous months that they spend away from family in a very hostile environment, this acts like a good stress buster for them.
Wonderful, wonderful, very nice.
Correctly, rightly said. Thank you, all the panelists. And we have one question from Mr. Sanjeev Chopra. What we think, the work from home is feasible for hotel sectors? It's a big question for a travel industry. So anyone, please.
So in any case, it is not possible. Hotel, you have to be on the job, and by and large, in hotel industry, work from home may not be possible, except 10% of the people.
And the hotel industry and factory is the same. I mean,
Yeah, manufacturing.
factories and the hotel industry, everything is same.
So
To some extent, restaurants may be possible that the people may make food at their residence, bring it to the restaurants, and from there the delivery takes place. There probably partially it may be possible.
So I'll agree. So I have a lot of exposure to the hotel industry, and I work very closely with most of the chains, hotel chains that you'll see. Now, the problem with the hotel industry is it's a service industry at the end of the day, and they're all known for their services. The housekeeping boys that you'll say, the boys which are there in every room providing the services, various services, they have to be there. I mean, work from home can only be possible, possibly from finance perspective. It may be to an extent HR. To an extent, I'm saying that also will be tough. But otherwise, being in a service industry, it is nearly impossible for people to actually work from home.
Yeah, this is Professor Bangat, Emeritus Professor of IIT Delhi. Now, this work from home, good concept, like in the education context, a lot of offline teaching has now come in, whether it is management or engineering, etc. But the problem is where there are practical subjects, including maybe hotel management courses, where this work from home concept is not in a very appreciable place. That is one aspect. The other aspect is working from home for whom? Is it working for home, working from home? Because now you have multiple bosses, including your family members, and if it is a smaller house that you have, then there are a lot of disturbance that you don't have exclusivity as you are in the office space itself. So you have more people think that, oh, you are not spending transportation time commuting, so that much time that you are having, you can give more to the organization. So that mutual trust also is required. There's one other context in the case of India, if you could allow me, this so-called Saas Bahu relationships. Okay, my only point is that work from home, the flexibilities that are there, the amount of time that is available, and the problem of relationships within the family also, conflicts may also increase. Jagota ji has said nice that you are having your games and tambola, but that whether it's possible where people don't have enough space. Put in my word.
Very so nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the views.
Okay, thank you.
So now I would like to request Mr. Jagota to conclude the session.
First of all, it's a pleasure to have Banwarji along with us. He's one of the very senior professors and a renowned personality in the country. So welcome, Banwarji. I like to summarize and conclude this way, that work from home cannot be full time. It has to be 50-50, which means 3 days in a week you may operate from home, and 3 days a week you can operate from the office. That's my first point. Salary wise, I think employer may have to think, rather than reducing the salary, they should think that 60% salary will be fixed salary and 40% will be variable depending on the results that they are producing. Number three, Now, in times to come, less manpower will be available. Most of the migrated workers have gone to their villages, and I think they may not come back soon. And therefore, all employers should invest money on automation, try to have machines where the labor requirement may be less. Third, there is now a possibility that they may not have luxury offices. Offices can be smaller because the number will be small, and they can save a lot of money on electricity, air conditioning, canteen, pantry. All those expenses can be managed and reduced. Even driver's salary, traveling salary, they may now reconsider whether it is to be paid or it has to be reduced. Then I think employers should shift from certificates of employees to the skill and the talent. Certificate is not important. It is the skill, talent, and the worth of the employee. That is what is important, and the salary should be fixed on the skill and talent. I think that part has to be taken care of. Employers should help the employees to upgrade their skill while sitting at home. So therefore, employees may attend many webinars so that they can upgrade their skill, which can be ultimately useful to the organization. Uh, Finally, the offices will have to be made very friendly. There should be a lot of greenery. Atmosphere in the office should be good, so that whenever employees visit the office, they should have a good feel factor. So greenery, I think all of us should plan that there should be a great greenery in times to come in their offices. That's very important. And finally, happy hours, games, fun activities, tambola, whatever is possible, I think each one should try to introduce. This will enhance the sense of belongingness, and people will be emotionally stable. I think these are my few tips. And finally, because the labor may not be easily available, it is for the management to take help from the students who are studying in various polytechnics and engineering colleges. These people are available at a lower cost, and they will be very happy to get the practical experience. My advice to all the employer would be, take help of students who are doing polytechnics or graduates, or they are doing engineering, MBA. They will be available to us. They will help us in business. They will be available on a part-time basis, which I think will be good for students as well as to the employer.
Thank you, sir, for the insights that you have given us in terms of new way that offices have to be built up, the new way that the culture of coming together has to change, not only for work but also for socializing. Uh, I understand that this session with all our panelists has really helped us understand the new culture of works from home, both from an employer's perspective as well as from an employee's perspective. I would like to thank all our panelists and all our attendees, participants for being a part of this webinar. Your presence, especially on a Sunday morning at 11 a.m., is really amazing. We see that you've had around 40 people who started off. We also see right now around 23 participants, including our panelists. This is the first webinar that we've conducted, and we will keep on continuing with more and more webinars. You can visit our website www.KenGuruConsultants.com, wherein the webinar information will be shared. I would like Dinesh sir to come on and thank everyone.
I convey my sincere thanks, first of all, to keynote speaker Shri Jagota ji and all the senior panelists, Shri Devinder Singh ji, Shri Krishna Rao ji, Shri Ganpati ji, Shri Negi ji, and all my dear participants. This was an effort just to make a understanding and just to motivate ourselves between and just to try to build a bonding between employer and employees. That was an effort from KenGuru. I convey my sincere thanks and congratulations from my side to KenGuru Consultants. Thanks once again to all of you for giving your very, very precious time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.